All right, what's poppin', Tub Nation? Welcome back to Tub Takes. This is a VGC video podcast where we go over what's been making waves in the VGC scene. Today, I'm joined by my co-host Adi.
Hello, everyone. This is a fun episode. All four of us, top cut, the first regional of the format. It's a big episode.
Woo! Hell yeah, hell yeah. Well, I'm doing the best. I'm swearing. Heck yeah. Anyways, we also have.
Six, bro. They don't count hell as a swear. You're good.
I don't know. I'm not a YouTube expert like you. Anyways, we also have ESM back. If you're not sick of him, he was here last week and he's been on plenty of times before. But we got to talk about that team. So how you doing, Michael?
Pretty good. I'm glad to have top cut after almost a year of not cutting. So we'll count it, even though some people might call it a fake cut, but we can talk about it more later. Glad to have a bounce back tournament.
Yeah. It's real enough, at least. It was a solid finish. So, and then we also have Joey Pokeaim himself here after getting top 8 at Milwaukee. You know, just showing up for a sub goal, doing so well. How you doing?
I'm doing well. It's a good time to be here. I'm actually also finally happy I top cut. Obviously, I haven't gone to an event in 8-9 years, but I bubbled out at Hartford at X and 2 at 23rd place, so I didn't get it there in 2017. And the one before, I lost to James right before I would have top cut as well. So it's cool that my third ever event, officially, I did top cut. And
yeah.
First in almost a decade. So.
I mean, 3 tries is like still a low amount, I feel like, for people. Like it takes some people even more than that, and they still don't get there. So, but of course, you've got a lot of Pokemon experience
and a great friends. Honestly, I think that should not be underestimated. The support group for building and battling and stuff is that takes you to the top.
Of course, yeah. Nobody really does it just on their own. I think even like the best of the best are always backed up by somebody else. So, but yeah, with that, let's go ahead and get into some of the stuff before we break down Milwaukee really quick. Just a couple of things to talk about, like what's coming up this weekend. First off, the Grand Challenge for Grand. It feels weird coming into Grand Challenge 4 coming off of the Global Challenge 4. I had to double check that a couple of times, but yes, this is the 4th Grand Challenge. So, of course, that means only CP earning regions are playing in this one. No Japan and stuff like that. Japan will be playing in their online qualifier. I can kind of just mention both of these at the same time, but they have their second stage online qualifier this weekend, which means the 120 people that qualified over the 4 Japan qualifiers will come together in an online competition, kind of like the Global Challenge, but I can't remember. Is this just a one-day thing, Adi?
Mm-hmm. It's a one-day thing. I think if you scroll down, it shows how long it is. I think it's just a few hours.
Oh, here we go. 20 battles. 20 battles over the course of
6 hours. Yeah.
6 hours.
Okay. And Jesus. So, yeah, it's intense. 10. It's the top, I think, 64 players to make it to the main stage, to make it to the in-person part of the qualifiers, and I believe the top 64 also automatically get a world invite as well. So this is a really, really big event for all the Japanese players. That being said, I wouldn't expect to get teams out of this tournament because a lot of people are going to save their teams for the main tournament as well. So maybe we might not get as much information out of this as we would hope so going into the next set of regionals in a couple of weeks.
Is this the type of tournament that because I've heard in the past like multiple DSs would be taken out and multiple battles in order to qualify? Is this that type of tournament you do something like that, or is because your Switch is connected to one account you can't do that?
Yeah, they actually went back on this recently. You used to be able to do double carts, like if you had like a Scarlet and a Violet, you could play multiple, but now they actually even went back on that in recent years. You can only play on one game only, just one game only for that, and it's the same for the ones where we're earning championship points as it is for Japan trying to qualify for their system. Obviously, they don't get championship points. They just have this, like, I don't know, gauntlet of tournaments that they basically compete in to lead up to Worlds. But yeah, have you ever played in any of the international challenges, as they call them, global challenges, grand challenges over the years, Joey?
Yeah, you play 15 games a day and you hate yourself for 3 days. I remember that.
Yeah,
I
pretty
remember
much,
all
pretty
that.
much.
Yeah,
True. True.
I'm debating entering because I have a few teams that are better in best of one than obviously best of three. Because you could use stupid techs, crazy techs.
Right.
But it happens to be over Mother's Day weekend, so it's a little bit of a rough time.
Yeah.
But we'll see how many games I can get in if I end up doing it. I'll probably record some if I do. Seems pretty cool. Very stressful though. 15 games in a day that's a lot of games. Best of ones to be angry about. I don't know.
What's funny is like the best like queuing strategy as well involves saving as many games as possible for the last day. So some people just play like all 45 on Sunday if they can afford to, like with like their schedule and stuff like that.
And Mother's Day.
But yeah, I mean, yeah. I know. That's
Hold
tough.
on, Mom. This is more important.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I was playing in
I've done-
a regional on Mother's Day one time. I swear there's like I'm not gonna go dig up the image now, but I have me like writing on my notepad like "Hi Mom" and holding it up to the camera while because I got her okay. She was like go have fun at the tournament.
No, I mean very fair as well. But playing 45 in one day is hella stressful.
Yes, especially
Are you
because
guys
it's yeah, definitely gonna be playing in this one. Audi ESM, you guys could playing? Are you gonna make in time for this one?
Maybe.
I think I remember you telling me, Michael, that there was no shot you were competing and that you hate these tournaments.
Yes. I do, but I do need to qualify for Worlds, so.
How many points are you at right now? I know they changed the way it works. Top 75 and the regional winners, and top 4 NAIC. So that's ridiculous, by the way. Good luck to all of you. Like,
appreciate it.
That is a lot. Oh my god.
I think I'm at like 740 points or something along those lines, which I'm outside the top 75 right now. But I still
Jesus.
have some BFL open. I'm not worried in the sense that I have 2 more tournaments, Portland and NAIC at, but I'm not safe by any means.
740 points back when I played would have made you day 2, like end of it, like style. Like that's crazy. I mean, they do give out more points now, though. I've noticed
more points,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot more points, but I don't know. Maybe that's why everybody I play looks so stressful, and I was just chilling at that tournament. Everybody was like,
yeah,
so true.
Yeah, I think when we were doing the math, the bar is probably looking like it's going to be somewhere in the 900s this year, which it is a lot. And I think in the past, I know, yes, there has been inflation in the number of points they give out, but in the past, I think, Alex, you would know better. The bar for day 2 was in the 900s, right?
Yeah, probably, but the day 2 was like 8 people only, so, or right, wasn't it 8? I think so. So yeah.
Yeah, it was just top 8 in North
8
America.
or 12, I think. There was
I would much rather play day 1 and then day 2 anyway, because like even if I lost, I would at least say I'm like practiced and I'm ready and stuff like that. I'm like ready to play the game, because I felt like my day 1 in this made my day 2 a lot better because I'm already familiar with the team. So
right.
But obviously people play a lot more than me, and I had the subathon month to practice, and that was
We have a new system now.
Yeah.
Where we don't have that like day 1 skip anymore, thankfully. It was kind of like a little too powerful to just be able to skip the whole day of competition. Obviously warming up is nice, and like Wolf won his worlds from day 1, but a lot of people who make deep runs at worlds, they were skipping the entire first day of competition because it's just such an insane risk that if
Makes
you could
sense,
avoid it by
you don't know
being
when you're
good.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you would think that. So Wolf has not only won from day 1, but he also has missed out on day 2. You have to go like 5-2 or 6-2, but you're playing the best players in the world every round. And so I think 2018, I think Wolf missed out on day 2, and also 2022, Wolf missed out on day 2, which you'd think that a player of his stature would be able to make it. So yeah, the day 1 is absolutely brutal. I've never actually made it to day 2 worlds through day 1. It's just that competitive.
I'm like 50-50. I think I'm like 3 for 6 or something.
That's pretty good. That's like Wolf's
That's really
levels right there.
impressive. Yeah.
But yeah, another thing actually, speaking of Wolf though, that's going to be kind of cool is that this only got announced earlier this morning, I believe. Yes, I'm checking the date. There we go.
Yeah, it was today.
But Aaron and Wolf are going to be coming here to Seattle to stream the GC, I guess, like from like some kind of Pokemon studio or something at their office, I guess. I don't think I gotta like find the quote tweets. I'll look it up later, but that's what at least Aaron was implying when his tweet.
It
That
looks
he
like
was,
they're
coming
it
here.
also looks like they're playing as well. It looks like they're legitimately playing, not just like, which is kind of crazy to me because again, this seems like the most super stressful thing. So I'm in Pokemon where I say, "Dang, Flabbit, like what can I do when I'm in front of like the thing? I can't curse, I can't do nothing." Where I get it. Oh man, they're sniping me. Like, oh,
True.
They
Oh,
they
man.
probably will be
Okay.
playing on delay, I feel like, but
it has to be like I
But
hope so.
wouldn't it be really funny if people were sniping Aaron and Wolf during the event?
yeah, it would be funny if they were playing with no delay and then they just get sniped every single game and they're just like
They have to be
losing
happy
half
about
these
it.
games. Yeah.
Yeah, like
And they can't say anything. It's like
whoa, that guy might
I
be
will
sniping.
my take on this, obviously this is really cool. I wish they had done this earlier in the season. Or the other thing that I wish is that you could register for these events after they started. Right now, you have to register before it begins. So you have to register by Thursday evening when it's going to actually officially start. If you are in North America. And I feel like a lot of people are going to be exposed to these grand challenges for the first time, and they're going to say, "Oh, I want to play in this. Can I sign up? No. When's the next one that I can sign up for? Well, next September. And that's gonna kind of suck. That's gonna dampen the mood a little bit, I think.
Mm-hmm.
well, if
At
we
the
even
very
have one
least,
in
they
September.
announced it. Like they announced that they're doing this, like at least with a day of a warning. So I mean, if people wanted to play, but like of course the stream is what's going to really bring in the people. So yeah, no,
Right.
it is a bit of a weird system that it works this way now that you can't really um, get in there after the competition has started. And I don't think that that's going to be something that changes going forward either. So
It doesn't make
yeah.
sense to me though. Like it's not like it gives you a huge advantage. Like you can go lose your 15 games too. Like I don't know. I don't I don't know. I don't like that
So
because I was
something
also
about
debating when I entered.
in the past you could sign up and you'd always have to sign up before the deadline, but you could pick your team after the deadline. And some people would wait and they would like see if like a streamer was running something cool, or if they encountered something cool, or if their friend encountered something cool and they're like, oh, that's the cool team for this event, I'm stealing that, I'm running it. But regardless, yeah, it is a little bit unfortunate that you can't get in there after it starts. Still, it's really cool that they're doing this. I think like it's cool that they're exploring different avenues for getting VGC out there. Obviously, like capitalizing on the fact that Aaron and Wolf are really big names, and people are gonna tune into a stream that has them.
100%.
I think they like jumping ahead a little bit. They messed up big time with Milwaukee, the stream there. Like I mean, the stream was great. I liked all the matches that I got to watch, but it was like such a shame that like Joey, they put you like way too late. Like that was like, I mean, obviously you went deep, so it worked out. But like if you got eliminated, it would have been such a shame that they didn't put you on there. They didn't. They missed Wolf. They missed ESM here, who we're going to talk about his team, but I feel like his team was easily the most creative in Top Cut, and
Perfect,
it was not on stream. So
Look at this.
yeah. If you haven't looked at Michael's team, it's not same.
Oh no, wait. I've looked at Michael's team.
Of course, you've seen Michael's team.
I've looked at Michael's team. Not to cut it off, but Michael, I was actually debating bringing Tox Effects myself on Ho with Ho as well.
Let's go.
Yeah, but I was gonna run stall, so it wasn't gonna be as good. It was like Tox Effects Lou, some stuff like that, and just like Toxic, Protect, Spam, and switch around. Yeah, but then I met this Pokemon called Miraidon, and your Rhydon would have been way better into this. This fire team, fam. This is so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we'll get a chance to talk about it later. I do think just to close out on the GC point, I think it's funny that TPCI is like as the chat is saying, TPCI co-signing on ghosting because me and Alex last year were considering doing like a streamed GC run together. And then we weren't sure if it was like skirting the rules or not, so we ended up just not going forward with it. But now they're just like, we're doing this on the main broadcast. I wonder if we could get
Might as
permission
well.
to do it one of these years. But
Right. I mean, it is already kind of like an edge case with like, if you're streaming your run and somebody in Twitch chat just says like, what if they have this in the back? Like, is that not already considered like helping? Like they've
Right.
weighed in on your run. Also, we were talking about like,
What-
potentially stream sniping stuff like that earlier with Wolf. Now, I didn't stream snipe Wolf, but it was funny. I was just streaming my run. Like, I mean, I'm literally like streaming my run for one of these previous ones, and I was like, let's see what's going on Wolf's stream. I open it up, and then he does have like a 10-minute delay, but as I like go to see what's happening on Wolf's stream, I queue into Wolf myself. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I should probably close the stream now, seeing as I'm literally playing against him. Unfortunately, he put me down, and didn't go well for me. But it was still really
with
fun.
mono normal, right?
Fleshling?
That was the mono normal one. It was the mono normal one. I did lose to mono normal.
You lost to
Oh.
Fleshling? Oh my god, man.
Yeah. But go ahead, Adi.
No, I was gonna say, I think we've every single GC we've kind of talked about our strategies for the GC. So at this point, kind of got over it a lot. But yeah, this is the last chance to get those potentially 170 championship points for the GC. It's a lot of points if you're going for the Worlds invite. Again, the Worlds race, we don't know what the bar is going to be. It's very competitive right now. There's a lot of good players who are outside the top 75 that I've been seeing making late pushes, like Michael here. I think Raghav is outside the top 75. I think Gavin Michaels is outside the top 75. Jody Azarelli is outside the top 75, and that's just from some of our friends. So it's gonna be very competitive. You definitely want to try to get those last few points that you can from these online tournaments, because this is the last one.
I think Raghav's actually inside the top 75 now, but I believe the bar right now is at like 820-ish points. Of course, it's going to go up with 2 more NA regionals coming up, and then it's actually not going to move up that much more from other sources, because this will be the last GC, so the points won't move up after this GC, and then locals are going to end in May, because we won't have June locals. So anyone who's looking to get points from those sources, make sure that you look at your local schedule. Make sure you're playing in the GC if you need points from that. Make sure you're looking for your locals, because this month will be the last time for locals until I'm not sure when they're opening back up, but like for a little bit at least. So at least for the end of this season. So of course, there's the last 2 majors that will happen after that, but from non-major points, we're basically losing all sources of that soon as well.
So
Someone in chat
question in
asked,
chat,
do
yeah.
we have our invites locked up? We've talked about Michael, who is right on the edge. I think Alex and I we've both cracked 900 with our Milwaukee runs, and so we are not quite there, but very close to being safe. I think one maybe Portland regionals we can lock it up.
That's
I think
crazy,
Alex
man.
should be
900
safe.
points not safe for Worlds. I can't.
I mean, at the
imagine.
beginning, I was telling everybody that like, I'm not gonna like give anybody a number that I think. First off, I'm not the guy to like figure out those numbers. I'm not good at like running the simulations and figuring out what it's gonna end up being. But I'm also just like, it's gonna come down to the last tournament. Don't be that person that's just thinking that you're safe and that you can coast. Fight until your last breath or whatever. Basically, just give it your all till the very end.
I'm the guy who normally runs the numbers, and I was telling people it was going to be most likely a plus or minus 50 from 1,000, right? So 950 to 1050 was my estimate, and it's looking on the lower end right now. I really thought people would be better at these global challenges, these grand challenges. It turns out that at least in North America, people tend to be really bad at them for some reason. So I don't know. So that kind of lowered the total a little bit from what I expected, but yeah, it still is pretty close to that estimate. And my goal the entire season has been hit 1,000 points. I think I'm at like 920 right now. So hopefully a good result at Portland will put me over 1,000 and kind of put me in the range where I think I'm safe. But yeah, just every tournament, you got to do your best. It's just so competitive.
Yeah, I think I also thought it would be over 1,000 as well, but I guess for the GCs, I kind of overestimated how many slots that NA would be having in top 32, like for top players. So for the people inside the top 75, I expected most people to get like 300 points or something, 200, 300 points from it. But I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case for everyone that's going to be in competition for top 75. So the numbers just don't work out if you just like think about it. So in that sense, I do think that we are looking at my mental model is like if you can crack 1,000, I think you should be 100% safe. But 950 is kind of where I expect the bar to be at, based on where the bar is now and the tournaments remaining.
One last thing before we move on from the GC is, I mean, VGC players know this, but Joey, you might not. Is did you know that somebody has won like 3 of these this year? Like the same person has won basically 3 of these online competitions.
Yeah. They're I don't remember if they're from
Suika.
Japan or yes. I saw that. That's insane. That's insane. Like I went to their Twitter and I was like, "You are amazing," and then I just left. But like that was it.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
they're actually crazy.
We're saying the
I
same thing
keep
over
up
here at the
with this stuff,
VGC
but I'm
scene.
like
Go ahead.
all around. That's actually so wild though. And they always
Mhm.
come with crazy texts, don't they?
Usually. I mean, you gotta like be doing something different to be getting up
One of
that
them was
high,
a
but
version of
also
Joe's team. I remember,
yes,
and I
it
remember that because
was.
it was in a podcast this morning that I was in. That I was told this. So
Yeah. But
when do signups end?
let's. What's up?
When do
I
signups end
believe
for that?
signups end Thursday evening at midnight in UK time, so it's like 7 or 8 p.m. for us.
Mhm.
Maybe I'll
Yeah, I
sign
think
up.
it's 8 p.m. Eastern. I think I believe it's 8 p.m. Like 5 p.m. Pacific. It's like when the tournament day would start is up until that point you can register. So I believe it should be 5 p.m. Pacific or 8 p.m. Eastern.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Maybe I'll sign.
So
And as we transition to Milwaukee, I do want to give a shout out to Daniel, who I think lost the winning in to Alex on stream. Thank you for the sub, and to the Mac Noon for the sub. I appreciate it. And for anyone watching on Twitch, and if you can't catch the entire thing, you can check us out on YouTube because we didn't get to shout that out. And if you are watching on YouTube, come hang out with us live on Twitch, Tub Nation TV, where we do these podcasts live every week. It changes the day to day, and Alex is also going to be streaming his global challenge run if you want to watch him play, and maybe I'll stream too. We'll see.
All right, let's go ahead and hop into it. And so I figured for this time, Adi, I was gonna have us go through all of our individual runs, kind of here in I guess like placement order, and then we'll kind of dive into the teams from the tournament. So
Let's do it.
that way we don't have to like just be sitting here waiting forever to get down to, like I don't know, like it just I think this makes more sense. So anyways, the best placing player in the call, Joey, or Joel S, I guess. Why don't you tell us
Whatever
a
you
bit
wanna
about your
call me.
team?
Yeah, so I like Ho-Oh, and apparently Ho-Oh is not considered good, which was crazy because even Nails, I mean, Nails was like Ho-Oh's bad, and then 2 days later, nope, you're onto something. Ho-Oh's pretty good. So I really like Ho-Oh. Basically, this was a subathon goal, right? I wasn't supposed to be playing VGC. Subathon goal we hit. So during this subathon, the first 2 weeks, I was just throwing darts on the board, just loading up every VGC team I could that was passed to me that did well to figure out what I liked. And I was like, wow, I like absolutely none of these teams, and nothing is working for me. But I do like Ho-Oh, and Ditto is really cool because I like having 3 restricted on my team. So I was working and talking with my boy Tony Flagon, who I've done stuff in VGC draft with and just draft in general. And he said I built some crack Araquanid Iron Treads Ho-Oh team. So I started using that and was doing pretty well on the best of 3 ladder. But we started talking about ways we could change it up and make it a little bit better. So it had Urshifu. It had we didn't have Urshifu. We had Araquanid would be over bundle, and then we had Urshifu Dark, over hands. So it would be Araquanid plus Shifu Dark. Shifu Dark to obviously help with the Calyrex matchup and the Terapagos matchup, whereas Araquanid was there to pretend it could deal with Calyrex as well with the wide guard and things like that. But in reality, it wasn't really doing much. But I hated some of the Sun matchups, even though I had a Ho-Oh. And so we made some changes. And that's where, and it was originally Choice Band Treads, and I hated Choice Band Treads too, because locking yourself in a steel roller means you beat treads. And I know a lot of other tread users in this tournament were saying something similar, which is why I ended up going Life Orb on it. And then we ended up going hands because hands for Wrath is broken. And Bundle just ended up being the missing piece we really needed because it felt like an auto win versus Sun, as long as the Sun didn't have Ursaluna. And even with Ursaluna, as long as they didn't have Incineroar, so I'm like mainly talking about Lucas' team. As long as it wasn't Lucas' team, I thought I had an out versus any squad. As long as I played well, which I didn't a lot of times. But as long as I had an out, I felt like it gave me that. And Miraidon's just broken too. So like nasty mon. If I had to make any changes right now, I'd go modest, bulkier Miraidon instead of timid max speed. I change Bundle to the Ursaluna that you have. And then I would either go Whimsicott or Grimmsnarl as over my treads. Because I think that treads did what it had to do. And then I'm ready to pivot to like the other mode. But I think I'd go Grimmsnarl more than because I think Ho is perfect. Like I love Ho. I don't know about you, but there are people there saying, "Oh, I never bring Ho," because there's a couple of us that ran Ho. They were like, "I never bring Ho into the Miraidon matchup. I'll lead off with that Mon into Miraidon. Like I don't care. It's Ho, man. As long as they don't electric drift me, which I was caught with several times in this tournament, and meteor beams, all turn ones that were very funny on switch-ins, by the way, not when I'm ever in, but on switch-ins. I'm pretty safe, but. Yeah, the idea was it was a mon I liked that was pretty anti-meta, and yeah, I feel like my 6, I don't care at all about Zot Calyrex. That stuff is like pretty insta win for me. They have to get every play right, win speed ties, and have to pray I don't fight back. So that's like a lot they need to win. And I felt pretty good into Sun, and I felt pretty good into a lot of things with this. So I'm happy. One change maybe level 49 hands. I think I'd go just to like, you know. Or anything like that. And for Rigoroth, I'd make a move, but I don't want to mention it because I have other people that are doing some versions, and I don't want to mess up their thing.
I get you.
Yeah, actually, I do have an idea that I probably wouldn't use, but like Baton Pass on for Rigoroth was something seemed interesting because you don't really need the damage from Psychic. You can Baton Pass a defense boost into Ho-Oh, or Baton Pass the defense boost into like something, and then kind of make them unkillable. That was kind of an option, but also sometimes you don't want Farigiraf on the field, but it's hard to position the next mon in. So BP was a cool option. I thought that would give it a way to position Ho in, but also back and forth and just get the recycle of regen. So that was like some things I was thinking about.
Man, that move's been banned over there for a long time. Huh?
Yeah. It's used in draft though. We use it a lot in draft, so I figured it would give it some. It'd be really cool. I don't know.
That's funny.
Baton Pass.
Dude, I was looking at if Iron Hands learns any dark type moves because these Ursalunas are always Terra Ghosting on you. So earlier I was like, what dark move does Iron Hands get? It just gets Fling. So we can run Iron Ball. So we're guaranteed slower. Fling the Iron Ball. That's my GC tech. No.
180 base power. You're gonna make someone turn off their switch. So you got it.
Wait, is it 180? Is it really that strong?
It's 150. I thought
150. I thought. Sorry.
Right. Dang, that's crazy. AV is 100? That's actually not bad.
All right, let's start flinging our AV. Hell yeah.
Dude.
I was actually looking to see if Miraidon learned Fling because I didn't click Draco once the whole weekend, and I was like, can I get rid of this choice specs and click Dazzling Gleam too? It doesn't, unfortunately.
I did not believe you when you said that. I was like, there's no way he didn't drop any Dracos. That's crazy.
Nope.
Not even just because of like
one. I know. Thematically, there was a point on Scream that I was like, okay, I won. This is wrapped up. Should I Draco myself? But I was like, that's really big BM. Let me not do that. There was some crazy stuff I was thinking about running, bro. Like, I mean, shoot, this GCU's whatever. Miraidon learned Swords Dance. I don't know if you know that. Crazy.
I did not know that. I know that Koraidon learns Meteor Beam for whatever reason.
Rhydon also learns Swords Dance.
Oh yeah, Rhydon. Yeah, sure.
It might be the Rhydon tech. Koraidon also learns Miracle. Ooh, I might want an AV with that.
Oh.
You'd much rather attack with this Pokemon, but maybe not.
Thank you for the sub, Demo Dread. But yeah, I wanted to ask a little bit about the practice leading up to it because obviously you don't play VGC full time, so you had to like get into like training mode, and you had people that were helping you as well as like you probably did some practice on your own. What did that end up looking like?
So Again, most of my practice on stream was with other teams to get a feel of it. Didn't like anything with that. Ended up building this version with my boy Tony Flygon. So he made the Arachnid thing, and I just played a bunch of games with it and started suggesting options. So we ended up putting the bundle, like I said, in the hands. I played games. I got to 1590, I think, on the best of 3 ladder. And then I said, yeah, I like this version of the team. I was still using choice band treads at that point. A week and a half goes by. At this point, I had to kind of lock in my team early because Bliss was breeding my squad or like trading for my squad or whatever. So I had to at least know the 6 early. So I passed that. And then that couple days after, I played a couple games and kind of like tilted back to 1340. And I was like, okay, let's take a little break. Let's figure out what we're gonna do. So it's about a couple days before the Milwaukee, and I'm about to leave. So and we talk a little bit about like what leads and stuff. I get in call with my friends Auntie and Roses, Shiloh. You probably know them. I think Shiloh, at least you know. Getting call with them, and we're talking a little bit about the team, and we did some best of 3s versus like, and we didn't even do best of 3s. We did lead testing versus some teams. So like what's going to be common, what we think we're in the fight, and we kind of just figured out like what leads were best into it. I didn't really need lines because I can, as long as I don't lead terribly, I can kind of just trust instinct to figure out what I'm going to do versus that, because I feel like it's really hard to trust lines because what if the dude doesn't do what you're going to think about, you know, right? Like, so for me, it's always about figuring out leads that don't lose me the game immediately into this, because it's so much harder to recover, I think, on a bad lead than it is from bad play.
Especially in these like
So
restricted formats.
Exactly. Because every mon doing 10 billion damage. Like I said, round 1, game 1, I switched in Ho on a meteor beam from Lunala, so that was really fun. And I just got the lead wrong. But yeah, so there was a lot of that. And then literally the night before Milwaukee, Rose and I were talking because we couldn't figure out if we wanted protect on treads, if we wanted Terra Ghost, if we wanted like if we're running Steel Roller plus Rock Slide or whatever. And then we started calculating Helping Hand for Rigorous Steel Roller with Life Orb, and it kills Rillaboom. I was like, yep, that's enough for me. Let's go with that. Because Ironhead was so piss weak on Life Orb. And I hate it. And I was telling them straight up, I'm not being choice man, I'm not running Protect, guys. Like I told them, like they kept saying, you think you should run Protect? I was like, I'm not running Protect. I'm not running Protect on that mon. It was already choice man. I'm already fine with it dying if I click Steel Roller as a choice band set. So let me just keep it Life Orb, because at least now I can switch up moves before dying. And that mon, while it didn't do much on stream, and that was more so my own poor play versus Treads, that Pokemon did so much for my whole day 1. Like it did so much. It usually came game 2s or 3s, and it would just clean up. Like I took notes. They were very poor notes because I didn't have a notebook at first, but then one of my opponents next to them. One of the person next to my opponent passed me. So I don't know how well you can see, but in the beginning I have like real detailed notes, and then by round 3 I have smoked by Ho-Oh. I have Iron Treads, and then by round 4 I just stopped taking notes because I couldn't find a pen. So I didn't take any notes after that for the rest of the tournament. Because I was trying to like, if I make a video on this, maybe I should figure out what I'm doing. Yeah, I have no idea what I did most of the game. So. I got very fortunate though for my matchups. If you look at my round 8 and you look at my round 11, same team basically. Just it's the Life Orb Champal versus Focus Sash Champal. Life Orb Champal is better. This one has no way of Life Orb Champal because it has to Terra Stellar to kill Farigiraf. But basically, Miraidon Farigiraf, click Trick Room, bring out Ho-Oh, kill every Pokemon, click Tailwind last turn of Trick Room, win the game with Miraidon plus that. Yeah. It's a very like. There's nothing else I have to do with that. Like there's no prediction I have to do. I play smart. My opponent has to try and double up into Farigiraf to kill it, and even if they kill Farigiraf, they still can't kill Ho-Oh because there's more. Like they have to double. That was specifically Keanu specifically, a great person. Even if they killed my Farigiraf, I kill Chiempao and then I get up Tailwind with Ho, and then I win the game too. So like it's like. There's a lot of like. It was such a bad matchup for those two. Like I felt so confident into these ones because I didn't have to make any plays. I just know what I have to do. And then I had some crazy games, some great opponents, very, very nice opponents. Swordfish right there, number 9 for my week 1.
Yeah.
That homie, I Terra'd hands to water in front of Zacian, and it crit me immediately from full, and I died a play rough. I was like, oh, goodbye.
Dang.
And then they got a double protect with Chiempao, I think. I still won the game. But it was some crazy stuff. Like, Ho just went stupid in this with Trick Room. Like, that team can't stop Trick Room. Like, Among Us is not that good into Terragrass Ho or Electric Terrain, the team, right? So, like, there was a lot. Like, some really cool games. Eric, unfortunately, didn't have his treads into me, and which ended up being
team sheet error.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if team sheet error more like it was like they just took away treads. So
Yeah, I got you.
It made the matchup actually harder for me because you always bring treads into me, and bandit treads is so easy to play around when you have Ho-Oh, right? Because even if they rock slide, it doesn't kill me upon switching, so I could just switch out into Iron Hand / my own. But him not having treads means he had to adapt. And he was the person who told me I never brought Ho-Oh into Miraidon. I was like, wow, that's really good to know because you would have done that versus me if you would have had your treads. Yeah, that game basically came down to speed ties, both games. Because I got a game 1 win into it, and then he won game 2, and then I won game 3. All came down to speed ties. I just risked them every single time because I'm like, dude, I didn't have an out because my treads can't touch his Ho-Oh, so I have to like attack what was in front of me and stuff. Bundle
I remember you
during
talking
my
about
regular
the 205s and the 49s.
Yeah, dude, they're insane, man. The only one that I feel has the advantage is Ursaluna, which is why I was thinking about bringing Ursaluna, because Ursaluna not only there's a 50-50 factor where it becomes ghost versus its typing, but it also kills every mon by itself naturally. So very good call on Ursaluna. I was really debating it, but I liked treads too much, and Bliss had hunted so much for these Pokemon, I couldn't dare like the bundle I had, which was shiny 0 IV and everything. Bliss, it was like 15 hours. Blissey was hunting for it, and I was like, okay, we cannot change bundle, even though I did like again, I was literally debating Grimmsnarl or Ursaluna like as an option and backup. So it's really cool that you came to that as well. And I mean, I want to hear more about your run, but I was pretty positive. You believe you would have gone fire. I want to hear more about your run, about the team in general.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good time to jump over to it because Adi, you were using something similar. You were also the next person to talk about anyway, so go ahead.
Yeah. So I did release a team report talking about my run. I talked for like almost an hour and a half about my team.
Yeah,
so
I did hear it while I was driving, but I want to hear from you.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I released the team report partially because I didn't want to have to talk for an hour on top takes about my team. But the thing that you pointed out that I think is really important was the Calyrex Shadow Zamazenta matchup and how straightforward it is. Because that was the most common team going into the tournament. Everyone expected that to be the team to beat going into the tournament. And so while I was, exploring the format, trying to figure out what I wanted to use going into this tournament, and Alex, was talking to me about the Miraidon Ho-Oh stuff, he kind of told me that game plan, and I played it a couple times on ladder, and I was like, wow, it really is just that easy.
Yeah. No thoughts involved at all.
Yeah. And that was the selling point for me was, well, if I can consistently beat what I think the best team in the format is, that's a great starting point with those 4 Pokemon, with the Farigiraf, Iron Hands, Ho-Oh, Miraidon, then I have 2 slots to try to figure out what I need to do against the rest of the format. But that was the real selling point for me was that matchup. I started out with the team that Alex had used on stream a couple weeks ago, or I guess last week, with the Iron Bundle and Rock Pond as the last 2 slots. And I thought that was cool. But I also did notice some weaknesses there. I thought Iron Bundle was really strong as a way to like avoid the speed ties, right? You get a jump on all the Pokemon that hit 205 speed. And that is cool, but also you still kind of have to play some mind games, even if you do click Icy Wind, because you still have to kind of call the slot right if they lead something like Koraidon Flutterbane, which is a very common lead. You still have to call which slot's going to protect, and so you have an advantage. But my other thought was that, in theory, Ho-Oh is supposed to be really good into Chien-Pao. It's supposed to be really good into Fluttermane. It's supposed to be pretty good into Koraidon as far as matchups into Koraidon go. So I really don't want to have to rely on another Pokemon, not Ho-Oh, to win those matchups when, in theory, the entire point of Ho-Oh is that it's good into those Pokemon. Yep. And so kind of putting your tournament run and saying, we're just going to play speed ties every round just didn't seem appealing to me. I really wanted to figure out a way to avoid that. And so I was exploring a bunch of different options. I looked at a bunch of different teams. I pulled them up in the team report, but I was also talking to Eric throughout this process because he was also on the same team. The team that Eric used the team that Marco Fierro had been streaming with, And so I was definitely aware of Iron Tread's Urshifu as a possibility for the last 2 slots. I saw on a Limitless tour someone had used Urshifu Ursaluna in the last 2 slots. But I also had talked to Ethan Mathos, who was a big Grimmsnarl believer, and I tested Grimmsnarl on another team, and he said he was running a Grimmsnarl Ho-Oh team with a different restricted to a lot of success. And that kind of started getting me thinking about Grimmsnarl on these Ho-Oh teams. And then on Thursday before the tournament, Rajan hit me up and said, hey, I decided I want to use Miraidon Ho at this tournament, but I want to use a super fat Miraidon, and I want to use Grimmsnarl on the team. And I said, you don't have to sell me on Grimmsnarl. I am a Grimmsnarl believer. I've been looking for an excuse to use this guy. He wanted to use bold Miraidon. I said that's stupid. I want to use modest Miraidon. But
Dude, despite my pleading too, because I'm the biggest Grimmsnarl hater out there, dude. I hate that one.
I hate Grimmsnarl, man.
I told Alex I think I'm using Grimmsnarl, and he was like, "Are you sure? Like, you really shouldn't. Like, this is a really bad idea." he was trying to get me off of it so badly.
Not only that, I think I just said like, if you're gonna use Grimmsnarl, I'm just not gonna help anymore. I was just like, I'm no longer interested.
I agree.
Yep. And I will say, the reason I wanted to use Grimmsnarl was because I had tested a Grimmsnarl Calyrex Shadow Groudon team, and the Groudon was really bad. But the Grimmsnarl was really good, and I was just very impressed by how Grimmsnarl matched up into the format. And so I was looking for, in fact, the 2 conclusions I had across my testing into the format was that Grimmsnarl is really good, and Iron Hands for Rigorath Miraidon is really good. And so I was looking for a team that I could kind of use one of the 2, and I ended up finding a team that I could use both of them on. The original version with those 5 had a Landorus Therian on it because it just makes sense to have a ground or a grass type in that last slot. And we were really scared of opposing Ursaluna. And we thought, maybe if you put screens and you intimidate it, maybe we can beat opposing Ursaluna that way. Ursaluna Miraidon, which was really popular on ladder, it wasn't actually doing enough. And so eventually we said, all right, well, we just can use our own Ursaluna. We can put it behind screens and maybe we can get there. And I did go 1-2 against that team. I did beat Andrew Ding in Swiss, and then I lost to him in top cut, and the matchups were pretty close. I lost to Luca Paz, who I saw also beat you, Joey. And he went undefeated until top 4. So he had a crazy run.
That that was the first guy I actually wild charged as Ursaluna game 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they had that team can't beat it. And I went through every single line in my head, and I was like, I literally have to read his mind to beat it. And it's because of his Incineroar. Because all he does is he leads Incineroar Lunala with Ursa in the back and Miraidon, right? That's all he has to bring versus my squad. He sacks Incineroar, takes 90% from Electro Drift, right? Lives Helping Hand, Volt Switch, whatever. It's like really Spadef. And he either Moonblast when I try and do something crazy, or he Trick Rooms when I switch out. And then it just comes down to Ursaluna being alive, pivots back out into the Incineroar that's still alive. So even if I get the Wild Charge call on Ursaluna, I can't kill it because I'm -1. So even if I get the extra chip, and then this team was just like, yeah. I actually the night that I made day 2, I spent that night literally thinking about my lines to beat this team. Didn't care about any other team. Didn't even know if I was making it to top cut. I just said to myself, if I make it there, I'm gonna have to fight him. And if I had beat Dylan, I would have had to fight him. So I was like, what the hell can I do to beat this? And I was like, I came to the conclusion that I literally must read his mind every turn. Like there's literally nothing. He has no reason to fake out. He literally can always U-turn and just keep doing what he wants to do. Get an Ursaluna. It's literally just the intimidate, like stopping it, right? And even him not being, Moongeist Beam doesn't matter because he's such a fat Lunala with the Electric Seed. I can't do anything back. So it's just it's really tough of a matchup.
It's just so hard for our team to power through the Ursaluna and the Lunala. We just don't have great ways to hit either of them. That was the
Ursaluna, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and that was the matchup that like almost got me off this team. Like I was struggling. We were struggling so much to beat this team in practice. We and to the point where like considering making serious concessions just to beat this team before deciding no, we're just going to get to play this team that we knew that the some really good players were on going into the tournament. You have to get through the entire field, and so Ursaluna was the strongest Pokemon in the slot. And
it made perfect sense.
And if we get to that point, we'll get to that point. But let's beat everyone else first.
Did you figure out like what you would do in that situation? Because like I was even at a point where I'm like, okay, I'll lead Treads Miraidon, pray he doesn't fake out, call if he terrors or not, double attack into Lunala. Because if you can prevent Trick Room, I think you can beat it. The problem is like he never faked me out even when I didn't have a Giraffe lead. But like he didn't have to because once he gets in, if he gets Trick Room up, it's over. So I don't know. Like it was Game 2, I think I lost because I lost a speed tie with Hands versus Ursa. So I actually might have brought it to Game 3 if I killed Ursa right there. But even then, like, it was still gonna be difficult. Like, it's such a nasty. That's the only matchup I thought of the entire tournament that I'm like, how the hell do I beat this? Every other one I can, you know, if I gotta make plays, I'll make plays, right? It don't always work out, but like I would rather. This one I had no idea what the hell I was doing versus. I don't know how the hell you're supposed to kill it.
The
Oh, my
one
bad.
thing that
Did
I
you
thought,
like leftovers over Clear Amulet more?
yeah. So I did like leftovers a lot. Obviously, it does make you a little more weak to Incineroar, but I felt like there were two reasons why I liked leftovers. The first was that in that Calyrex Shadow game plan that we talked about, where you click Trick Room, they're trying to stall up the Trick Room turns, and then you click Tailwind on the last turn, and they're trying to stall up the Tailwind turns. So they're double protecting on the first turn Tailwind. You're getting an attack off on the second turn, the double protecting on the third turn, and then you're oftentimes you're getting into like these Ho-Oh Zamazenta endgames. Or whatever, but like a lot of times people are just stalling out these Tailwind turns, they're stalling out Trick Room turns. You don't have like a setup move or anything to really punish them playing very passively.
You're getting your
And so,
leftovers back, so it gets harder to kill you. I love it. Yeah, I like the
and so
idea. I liked it a lot.
Because this team, I think a lot of times the end games are Ho-Oh is trying to 1v1 one Pokemon, and so getting your Ho-Oh back up to a health where it can survive those hits, protecting, you're getting leftovers recovery. Same against Miraidon, right? A lot of times your Ho-Oh just has to 1v1 a Lunala or a Miraidon or a Fluttermane in the end game, which usually means tanking an attack that is going to chunk it, and you need to get back up to 60% health, 70% health to be able to take one of those attacks. And so having access to protect and having access to leftovers recovery is really good.
Yeah, I'll say in my run, like my particular run, I think I only fought one Incineroar from Luca, so leftovers definitely would have been better. I don't think I fought any other Incineroar, right? Oh, I guess by game number 1, I don't think Incineroar even came to that. Oh, it was just Luca and that. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe leftovers would have been better. The thing that made me scared to run lefties on mine was I fought that one stupid, nasty plot, Terra Grass, Grassy Seed, a Giga Drain, Calyrex next to Incineroar Rillaboom, and they were just cycling themselves over. And or it had Calm Mind, excuse me, not nasty. That was Calm Mind. It was super fat. I couldn't kill it with Miraidon, even with a helping hand like Draco into it, because they would just pivot in Rillaboom. And then my Ho-Oh couldn't do damage to it because Incineroar just kept getting pivot. Like I was going back and forth between leftovers, Rocky Helmet, and Clear Amulet. And that particular matchup made me just terrified to the point where I was like, all right, let me put Clear Amulet, even though I think these other items are better. Because there's a lot of calcs where like Helmet and stuff is just so good.
Yeah, it's so tricky with
definitely.
Going to like live events because, you know, we worry about these things that like are possibilities, and then sometimes we just don't even fight them.
Don't even happen.
Yeah.
It's about
for example,
management.
I did not face a single CSR Zamazenta my entire run, which was the team that I was trying to beat with this team. I will say the other reason that leftovers is cool is because Brave Bird is your strongest move. And you want to click it into Urshifu, you want to click it into Rillaboom just to guarantee those knockouts, but you're taking a lot of recoil, and it just feels better to click it when you have recovery immediately. The last thing I want to touch on my team is the parting shot on Grimmsnarl. I was the only Grimmsnarl to run parting shot at this tournament and get points. There was some discourse on Twitter about that, and I thought it was really good. And I think part of why I had a playable matchup into Andrew Ding in the first place is because I had parting shot on Grimmsnarl. Because if you look at his team, right, you do want to set screens up into his team, but you also like you can't T-wave anything, so it sits on field and does nothing after you click your screens. But he has a Ursaluna that you can parting shot and you can reduce its attack stat. Miraidon, you can reduce its special attack stat. Lunala, you could T-wave in theory, but like you don't really care. It's going to click Trick Room. But you can reduce its damage output, and those Moonblast hit your Miraidon a little less hard. And so those were all like super, super relevant things into that team specifically. It also really helped against the Combine Terapagos teams where you're just constantly reducing their damage output every turn, so they never make any progress against you.
Yeah,
but
that's how I was
parting shot
too in OG. Yeah, I like that.
And so parting shot was like the MVP of my Grimmsnarl. The dopamine rush that you get from having Ho-Oh on field, Ho-Oh Grimmsnarl on field, switching out your Ho-Oh to get regenerated recovery, and then parting shotting out with your Grimmsnarl and reducing their damage output, taking a fairy type move on your Ho-Oh. It's incredible. It really was like that was the synergy that I really wanted to build off of. and it put in so much work. And so that was the other like really cool part of my team. With regards to the matchup against Andrew, he didn't bring in War against me in our first set, which is part of probably why I beat him in the first set. But it actually came down to, first off, our Miraidon speed tied, which is crazy because we both were super, super bulky. We had 20 speed investment on our Miraidons. But our Miraidon speed tied, and we had games come down to that. But also, it kind of came down to my Miraidon lived a facade from his Ursaluna. That's how bulky I was on my Miraidon. I have a 40% chance to live it. It was a roll in his favor, but I did win game 3 because of that. And I got to Draco Meteor and KO it. So that was that. Yeah, that was the matchup. And then in the set in Top Cut, we did go to 3 games, and it was very close. And he kind of schooled me game 3. But yeah, it was. I think it was a tough matchup for me. But I think some of the changes that I made to the team, especially the Grimstar set, made it a little more playable than with the other versions of the team.
Yeah, that's the same reason why I was just discussing maybe baton pass on Giraffe, because like sometimes Mon's just stuck on the field and you can't switch it out because like, you know, you're in versus a Calyrex and you don't want your Iron Hands to come in and take 44 before Giraffe sliding or something. So I like that a lot.
I love when you
I'm a big
can,
fan.
like when we've thought about baton passing the seed to hands before, and it's funny because it would be like a Eviolite hands. Or like anything that if you pass it to anything with a Assault Vest, it's like, dude, Iron Hands with an Eviolite, that's crazy. Also, just a random thing that I remembered Colin telling me about when he played against Joe, because we were talking about Thunder Wave on Grimmsnarl. In that match, Joe copied the Ursaluna with Ditto, and he side T-waved himself to get Guts and Terra Normaled so that he could do it. And Colin was like, dude, he actually destroyed me. It was so sad.
That's psycho behavior.
Terra Normal
Psycho
Facade,
behavior.
and he activated it like it wasn't even a speed tie anymore. Kind of insane.
Wait, Nerd of Now points out that Iron Hands would get the defense Cork Drop boost if you baton pass an Electric Seed.
Is that how the mechanic
That's
works?
crazy.
Don't ask me. I don't have a PhD
Don't
in...
ask me.
It is.
I mean, I'd be okay with that too. So
Okay.
I don't need my attack booster. My low kick's still at least doing 45.
The mechanics behind it are so weird when you run like Electric Seed, Iron Hands, and like I don't know. Have you heard about this or no?
If you run seed, you get the attack booster first.
No. If you run,
Yeah.
like it depends on if the Iron Hands is on the field and when the Miraidon sets it up, or if it switches in when it's set up. It's like stupid.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't run the set, so I don't. I'm
Right?
not sure. I know there's some weird mechanics on it.
All right, let's go ahead and keep it moving though. I'll try to be quick. I'm next here, but I probably have the least interesting team of anybody. I've got
You were running Metamanip. You were running Metamanip.
I mean, a little bit. It is kind of funny that Ice Rider Miraidon, Bolt Beam Speed Sandwich, of course, was not looking that good into the metagame early on, and it was really struggling. And I think it's like maybe the most common restricted duo in Top Cut. I didn't actually run the numbers on that one, but it's like it did very well. It got second. And like I felt like pretty happy with my run with Cali Ice Miraidon, and I'm like the 5th best Cali Ice Miraidon at the tournament, like despite getting top 16. Like, dang, all right, yeah, the archetype's doing pretty solid. So yeah, my team, it's got the Ogerpon and the Volcarona, aside from the the boring ones that you would kind of expect. So I guess I'll really just talk about those guys and not spend too much time talking about the other ones. But Wellspring, it's really good against those stupid treads. I played against a couple of the treads, and I wanted to keep that thing in check because it's really good into both of my restricted Pokemon.
Bro, I was gonna run Megahorn on my treads too. Just letting you know that was a lot.
It's good into Rillaboom too.
Last moves on that.
And also, it's kind of funny because like Treads is also just like weak as shit. Like the Life Orb one, it actually doesn't Oko Ice Rider with Steel Roller that often. So like I also just like wouldn't Terra in front of that and just be like, go ahead and click it, see what happens. But they would just like
very disrespectful.
Think about it. Yeah, I did play against Eric here in the chat. And in round 4 here after playing at the same team the round before. But yeah. Ogerpon very good into those. And then Volcarona is very good into something that apparently doesn't exist. Calyrex Shadow plus Zamazenta. That's like the simple answer there. Like it's really good against those guys. You can struggle bug the Shadow Rider. You can just get going with Fiery Dances. But yeah, I did end up fighting one, Vishy, who's a friend of mine. And his team had like an Indeedee with an expanding force, and like I don't know, Volcarona wasn't gonna pace well enough into that I thought it was amazing there. So it was like, all right, Volcarona. It still clutched up a couple of other matchups for me, randomly, but it wasn't like the most incredible pick. Regardless, the team just felt like safe and strong, and I felt like I was able to beat people just on like good like fundamentals, like setting up Trick Room when I wanted, using redirection to support Pokemon that I needed to keep alive. It's honestly like just pretty straightforward, I would say. I guess it's just a solid set of Pokemon. But let's go ahead and talk about. Go ahead.
I got two questions for you, Alex. One person in chat asked, "What is the Terra Steel for on Volcarona?"
Oh yeah. So this was to help out in the Pagos matchup, specifically against the Rock Pond. Because none of the other Terras that people were running on Volcarona resist Ivy Cudgel, and like keeping that from KOing you. One thing that the Pagos teams love to do is they hold that Terra for as long as possible. And you could just Terra Steel to just say like, all right, I don't care about the Star Storms. Earth Power's not going to do that much because I'm struggle bugging you down. I just want to make sure that your Rock Pond doesn't KO my Volcarona too quickly. Did I Terra it more than once? I actually think I Terra'd it on stream, but it was in a very losing position, hoping to get bailed. And I think that was the only time I did Terra. What was the other one, Ali?
Well, my other question, less related to your team, but I think we've seen these 6 Pokemon with Rock Pond over Ogre Pond quite a bit this tournament, and a lot of them had a Scarf Miraidon on them. What did you think about the people running Scarf Miraidon? What are your thoughts on that in general?
I'm still actually perplexed by it. I need to like go in the lab and try it myself, because I know that from what I've understand and heard is that like you get to run some bulk on this Miraidon as opposed to like running it like a timid Miraidon with no bulk, or it's doing like a bit of best of both worlds. Like it's faster than the things you need it to be faster than, but can also run bulk. And because it's not trying to spam Dazzling Gleam, it gets to run Terra Electric to make up for the power, kind of like what we saw in the winning Miraidon.
Wait, so it loses the speed tie versus Fluttermane, and then is still
I guess so. That's what I've heard.
After?
That's what I've heard.
What?
I mean,
I'm not even being like sarcastic.
I get
I'm
you.
generally that's what, because I was thinking, okay, cool, you're using it like you have a bundle, but wait, if you're running bulk on it, what's the point?
Oh, also,
the
do you know about the speed tie mechanic as well?
Yeah, when when you get -1, it's not even a speed tie. You're faster than Koraidon.
It's not even a tie. Yeah.
Right. So I think I have an idea of why it was so popular. Is that as we were saying, CSR Zamazenta was the strongest team. People thought was the strongest team, and it was the one that was targeted the hardest coming into this tournament. And for outside of you guys, all the best performing Miraidon were actually Scarf or AV, and the reason for that is because it performs significantly better into CSR. Like Miraidon baseline is only okay into CSR because it has problems getting snowballed on. If you get if CSR ever gets a boost, like you're in a position where it can just clean the rest of your team very easily, especially if Miraidon is your fastest Pokemon or one of your fastest Pokemon, basically. And if they have Tailwind or whatever, like it can really disrupt your game plan. So like because of that, AV and Scarf, AV gives you the bulk to really like eat hits very well. Like you're not even in range of dying at +2. And then or like you need like +4 plus another like plus something else to even start thinking about getting the KO, right? And Scarf is similar in where you're like getting more you get some bulk there, but also you have access to Snarl to slow down the setup option. You also have you're just faster, so you can clean up end games versus Sash, so like all of that. And so I think that's why a lot of people ended up on one of those two sets, because AV and Scarf are so much more positive into the CSR, and so like it makes the like matchup dynamic much harder, because like in that case like Scarf is going to be good into both the CSR and the Zamazenta, and it forces
Mm.
them to make a lot of uncomfortable decisions, right? So like,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why like a lot of people chose to run that going into the tournament.
Did it run a benchmark that's above Tailwind Modest Ogre?
I would bet
Or-
that they probably picked to outspeed some things that are like in Tailwind, right? Although, what is
Right.
Kyogre? What is that Pokemon? Can you
Yeah,
remind me? I
you-
completely forgot.
279
need-
at level
well-
100. No idea. Level 50.
No,
Well,
I
Kyogre-
mean, what is this Pokemon you're talking about? I've not seen a Kyogre. I don't know what a
Oh.
Kyogre is.
Kyogre
Well,
is
It's a
like,
Gamon.
right. It didn't perform well, and there's a number of reasons why. Maybe we can talk about.
I didn't
the
fight one.
intersection in a moment.
Joey, I think you did. Adi, you fight one?
I fought one.
ESM?
Yeah, I
Just
did.
one.
I think I didn't, but I don't actually remember.
I
mean,
see
we
when
can check right here.
They tarred, so.
Okay, yeah, no. Me and ESM did not see the fish. But
That was
yeah,
my day
honestly,
one.
it's to the point where I'm
Me
like
too.
kind of okay disrespecting that Pokemon because of course it's just so bad into Koraidon. It is so bad into Zamazenta. It also does
Koraidon.
bad into Lunala. That's also going to be running a bunch of like wide guard. Like
Yeah, I
wide
fought
guard.
Iron Ball. I fought Iron Ball Kyogre on the
Oh,
ladder,
yep.
so
Yeah,
that was very fun.
I think Koraidon, or sorry, it's weak into Koraidon, Miraidon, Lunala, and Zamazenta, and those are 4 of the top 6
Top
restricted,
Pokemon,
or whatever,
makes sense.
like 4 of the top 7 restricted. Like all of the viable ones basically, except for CSR, Ho-Oh, and
Ice Rider, I guess.
Ice Rider, and I guess
Mhm.
Pagos. But it's also bad into Pagos, so that's another one. So 5 of the top 8, like that's it's not looking good for Kyogre.
So real quick, go ahead, Adi.
Oh, I think we're going to see some Kyogre in the Grand Challenge. Just generally
for
as
sure.
a good
Yeah.
close team sheet mon because it has so many different sets it can run. I also
Mhm.
think it's going to be pretty good. Yeah, I think we're going to see it at the EU regionals because the EU has a tendency to build around Kyogre, and there's some good EU players who have been building it in grassroots tours. So I wouldn't write it off quite yet, but it was definitely less common in North America.
I think we're gonna
Yeah.
see a lot of Terapagos.
I
think
see a lot of
in this
Terapagos.
best of one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you see this team that I posted down there in the Discord?
yeah, I can pull it up.
Oh yeah.
One sec.
That just beat Marco on stream. Because the Clefable the Terapagos was Covert Cloak, a lot leftovers.
Yes,
So he
yes.
snarled and spirit braked, and that only got
Oh,
all the way
no.
back with a life dude next to it. Wasn't watching, but
actually,
this is what I'm told. I was like, I have to run this. I must run this trash.
I also lost to a different team completely, but I faked out a Terapagos today on the best of one ladder, and it just like kept moving, and I was like, oh wait, it was my fault because it was like turn 8, and they hadn't had leftovers for like the whole turn, so I was just like, you know what?
That's your fault.
That's completely my own fault. I didn't ask any questions. I just kept clicking my buttons.
So is this a tournament to assume everything's Covert Cloak in the GC?
Yeah, kinda. Yeah, I mean, if you,
it's a little bit
Scarlet
risk
Violet
management, 'cause,
VGC
like,
is funny in best of one because like you also have to worry about those Terra Ghosts that also will dodge you, and I don't know.
I'm running Choice Band.
I would think you
Mhm.
are more equipped than most people to play in a GC because you are used to playing close team sheet, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of VGC players who have started playing in 2023 have only ever played open team sheet Pokemon really, and are just so caught off guard by closed team sheet, and they don't really know how to figure out like risk assessment and when to play into different when you can take risks, when you can't take risks, how to play around different items, and when you should play around different items. And that is so much of playing singles, right?
I was kind of
That
curious
was
your
Eugene.
thoughts on that, Joey. How do you feel playing open team sheet?
Nice. I think it makes it easier for the newer people, and I think it makes it better for the older people. As in not older, but like vets of the game.
Mhm.
For me, it was nice because like even though when I played Louis in game 2, I didn't realize his Ursaluna had Earthquake, and I had the open team sheet the whole time in front of me, and so that's a fault of mine. But I like the fact that I could look, because I'll be real, I was looking at the open team sheet and I was just reading the Pokemon names in different languages. Like I was just having a good time up there. I'll be completely honest. I was like, oh, this is a cool way to say this mon's name.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I like it a lot. Makes it a little easier, especially because I I don't mind making plays to win if I feel like I have to. No, I'll say that I didn't eat anything the day before, right, for that whole tournament, and I didn't eat anything that next day for it because I feel like that's the biggest thing. The biggest hurdle is just having the stamina to keep going, and I think it definitely clogged my play at times. Like I'm thinking about like some of the games, like game 2, like the freaking 5 protects in a row would have been fire, but like if I Sacred Fire into Lunala, I'm not too shot by Koraidon. But you know what messed me up? Closed team sheet when I fought someone with an adamant life orb Koraidon and it two-shot my Ho-Oh. Oh, it did 75% with Flare Blitz with Terra Fire. And I was like,
Yep.
so like that was like ringing in my head. I was like, so I forgot my own calcs and stuff. So like, I think there's like pros and cons to it. It definitely is nice because I can see my opponent's stuff, but then I can't trick my opponent. Well, I can't, not trick, but I can't hide things from my opponent, which is part of the reason why I wanted to go to this one is because it was a brand new metagame. So I was like, okay, there's no advantage to metagame advantage rather, in time and experience that anybody else has over me, right? We're all playing the same metagame. So that just came out. So I was kind of hoping that that would give me, some type of evenish playing field, and it worked out. It worked out-ish. But
It worked out-ish, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
I could have played better. There's a bunch of lines that I didn't see there that I should have seen.
I mean, that's hopefully what keeps you coming back, because that's what keeps me coming back is, like when you get close, when you have a good run, and you're like, and I could have gone deeper if I had just done one different thing on this turn,
Real.
But all right, I'll finish running through mine here so we can get over to ESMs. I just wanted to mention that, like, I think, there was definitely some strong building groups going into this one, but I feel like my group had a pretty successful run. 3 top cuts out of the 3 people running it. So that's I think that's pretty good conversion rate. Me, Chua, and Billy all did really well with it. And funnily enough, that was actually what knocked me out, as my run ended by just playing the exact mirror against Chua. And yeah, I mean, of course, it's going to come down to speed ties, but also he did end up playing a little bit better than I did too, on top of winning a speed tie in game 3. So it was you can't really be too mad about that because mirrors are always going to be a little bit toxic. You never want to be.
Do you guys practice the mirror? Do you guys practice
No,
the mirror?
I think unless you're running like a really common team, if you're just taking like the most common meta team, you probably don't spend that much time focusing on the mirror because I know that only 2 people are bringing this to the tournament, and I'm just gonna hope that I don't play them because they're my friends that I've worked with, and so yeah, I've played Adi in an exact mirror before. Only once. It was only once. We played a couple times at tournaments, but only once in the exact mirror. And it was just stupid. No, neither of us spent time beforehand preparing for it. We were both just kind of like, it's not going to happen. La, 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 hands in our ears. And then it just eventually happens, and you just figure it out then.
Yeah. I got lucky with what I was fighting because Roses brought the same team as me, obviously. And Shiloh has just really rough matchups versus mine. I think all mine were playable except for the Luca one. I stand by that. So I got lucky in that case, but I was also if we go to another event, Swave, who came with me as well, he went 4-4. This is his first event. He was running some Koraidon stuff, but I think if we do the next one, we're all going to run the exact same team because why not? And we were joking about it yesterday because if Blunder ends up coming, you'll run the same thing too. And I said, yeah, we practice in this group. We get really good with that. And then I talked to my secret group to practice the double with each other.
No.
Each other.
We always like to joke about I'm gonna run the same team as you, but speed creep it. And when I was playing that mirror against Paul Chua, he won the first 5 Ice Rider speed ties, and I was like, Paul, did you actually speed creep me? 3 of none of these mattered for the way that the game was playing. We were both just glacial lancing each other for 17%. It's not doing that much. And 2 of those speed ties were just the ability speed ties, as one activating before my as one. So it's very minor stuff, but I'm counting all of these just to see okay, wait, you actually are faster. Game 3 rolls around. I finally move first, and I'm like, I was so mad. I thought you actually spud crept me, but no, he was an honest guy. Funny.
Isn't there? I thought the person. Wow, why am I forgetting their name? But they're really good. They're from New York. They built a team with Justin.
There's only one good person from New York, so we should all know the name immediately.
Are you talking about Chiliang?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I heard some fun stories about like their team group where there's like the mafia boss where everybody runs a team, but you got a screenshot when you submit it, and then they'll put their team a little bit faster. Like that's the price you pay for my god building.
Wait,
Like
that's a genius idea. I'm gonna steal that. Next time
I don't
someone
know
asks
that
me to
I
be
just
put on
heard
my
that. I
team,
don't heard that. It's just really funny. I didn't hear that from. I literally heard that from no one of his group. By the way, it was an outside rumor, but
okay,
it's
that
very
sounds fake,
funny.
but that
But
sounds
it's
like a
really funny
fantastic
and true.
idea.
It's literally a mob boss thing. Like, yo, I'm gonna protect you and get you there, but when we get there, you gotta give it up to me. I
Yeah,
thought that was
yep,
really
yep,
funny.
yep. You got to take the dive. All right, ESM. Let's talk about your team finally, because this team is stupid as
So
hell. I
cool.
played you. I played you on stream at one point. I feel like in practice, and it was
Yep.
so funny. Because I when I played ESM on stream, I knew his team already, and so I didn't read the team sheet like at all, and I just acted like, oh yeah, I know, it's just another Rhydon Toxapex Comfy Walking Wake matchup. You know, I already know what these sets are gonna be. But yeah, please do tell us about this.
Right. So I guess I'll start from the beginning. I'll give the whole spiel. Um, I think Adi, I guess this is the first time you're hearing this as well, but I'll probably be willing to do a team report now that I think more about it. So I don't have too much to hide at this point.
That's
'Cause I
good because I did tell people that you were going to do a team report during my team report.
so yeah, because this team will not be able to make the run back, unfortunately, which I'll mention a little bit later. But so the start of the team process, even before the format was announced, I was really excited about using Ho-Oh. I think Ho-Oh was had a lot of potential because of its great matchup into CSR Zamazenta, which was, you know, the boogeyman coming into the format. So even before the format was announced, I was playing some test games on Showdown with like custom challenge codes or whatever to with Ho-Oh Groudon at the time, and this was right after like my final tournament of Reg G, so which was after Vancouver, which would have been like end of March, I think, if the timeline matches up correctly. So I was talking with Jehu, John, when I was in Japan, and we were just like I was just trying to sell him on Ho-Oh Groudon, and that was my brainchild for the double restricted format. That was the one I was the most excited about, and I thought it was really strong. And then when I actually started getting around to testing, I realized Groudon sucks. Like, this guy is just terrible. Like, it's not redeemable, and it has no good buttons. You get to press Precipice Blades, which is its best button, and everything else sucks. And it has no bulk because it just dies to everything that it's supposed to take hits from. And it's slow, and the only thing that has going for it is that it's a ground type. And so I was like, all right, whatever. Let's not run Groudon. I just decided to run Koraidon instead. And then just like a weird shower thought I had was like, what if I ran AV Koraidon with Comfy? And Comfy Ho-Oh, Koraidon Wake was like the starting point of my team. And I had some other stuff originally, and I ran through a bunch of different iterations of the team. Like I had Wochian on there at some point. I had like a bunch of random stuff, like ungodly random stuff in the builder. I think there was a Raquinid at some point or something.
You say
Yeah.
ungodly
Um,
random, like this team is not ungodly random, dude.
Oh, we'll get there, I guess. But like, of course, my philosophy when building is always like, don't rule out the stupid stuff. I think generally speaking, there can always be a perfect Pokemon for your
Hey, that's how things
situation.
become standard. They're non-standard first.
Right,
Yep.
and
Yep.
that's always what I like, you know, preach in terms of like always explore random stuff or whatever, especially when it's like when you have a lot of time, right? Because I had already locked in on Koraidon, Ho-Oh, Wake, Comfy like very early on, like it was basically day like 3 of when the format had been out, but I wasn't sure about how to round it out, and I was having trouble with Swordfish, I was having trouble with BBSS, and these were the main issues with the team at the time, because Koraidon, Ho-Oh, Comfy was Wake was like so strong into like CSR Zama at the time, and like a lot of other like of the non-standard matchups and stuff. AV Koraidon with U-turn was really, really good because it allowed you to play against the Torns. Like that's Torn and Pelly. Like that was a lot of their counterplays. Just hey, let's set up rain, and then Koraidon's not a Pokemon anymore. But with U-turn, it can allow you to maintain that weather control super easily. Similarly for against Swordfish, that was important in that matchup. And with Assault Vest, like Koraidon can tank hits from CSR very easily. This Koraidon was able to take like a +2 Astral or equivalent, like a Psychic from with no Terra, for example, you just don't get the KO on this Koraidon. And then Ho-Oh, like with the U-turn, it has the synergy with the regenerator, similar to like Parting Shot and Volt Switch that you guys were doing as well, but same ideas. So it can let you get that weather control, it can let you get the pivoting with the Ho-Oh, and then the Wake can maintain, like, Wake when in Sun is just such a powerful Pokemon. It's very fast, strong, and bulky, and in my opinion, it's a Pokemon that's always been slept on. And it was in Reg G Part 2 when I ran this at San Antonio. Wake was the star of the show. Basically, it was the one that I wanted to run if I was running a Sun team. And so there were some iterations at first that didn't have Wake, but it didn't make its way back on the team just because I have a lot of faith in the Pokemon. And then I ended up just randomly thinking about Toxapex. I was like, what about Toxapex? It has Wide Guard, which was one of the reasons I had originally thought about it, but it allows you, like with Toxic, it allows you to beat the Pagos team, because that was around the time when the Pagos team had first popped up, and on online tournaments, and I was like, I can't beat this consistently, so what about that? It allows you to deal with that fake out cycling. It allows you to punish the Swordfish to help you get around the Wide Guard and stuff. And so I just added it to the team alongside Rhydon. I was just like, all right, whatever. We're swinging for the fences a little bit. It's supposed to beat BBSS, and let me just see how it plays. And so I just tried it, and I was very, very impressed with Rhydon. Like the defensive calcs on this Pokemon are just insane. It has so many stats. Like it has basically restricted level stats.
Yeah,
of
it's
course,
broken, dude. I freaking love this mon. in
right.
draft.
It's typing, and like it doesn't have a great typing or a great like ability. Or I mean, its ability is actually good for the meta, but what I mean is like it doesn't have restricted level anywhere else. But just in terms of the raw stats, it can match up with. It has like the same level of bulk and stats that like a Calyrex Ice Rider does. Of course, you're restricted to running Eviolite, and like it has a poor defensive typing, so like you have to really tear it a lot of the times that you're bringing it. But its offensive typing and Rock Ground is excellent, and so in the matchups where you can rely on it, and I was very happy I decided to bring Rhydon to this tournament because Rhydon ended up being super overperformant, and because of that, Rhydon, like I brought it in like more than 50% of my rounds. Like I think I was bringing it like close to 70 or 80% of the games I played this during the weekend, because you also bring it into teams that have Raging Bolt as well. So
You did
it doesn't.
amazing. Sorry,
So,
I'm just looking at your wins and losses. So you did amazing.
right. So I did make a good call in that sense, and Rhydon was Rhydon's like has excellent bulk as well. So like even when you're taking just neutral hits, like for example from Glacial Lance from Ice Rider, it's only taken 25%. So like its natural bulk is carrying it a lot of the time, and then like the game plan versus Miraidon then shifted to being focused around Rhydon, right? So I'm bringing Rhydon, Pex, Comfy, and I'm basically trying to lock you out of the game. Like the Rhydon Terra Fairies, and then if they lock into Draco, then I'm putting double Fairy in front of you, and you can't do anything. If you lock into Dazzling Gleam, I'm going Pex, and I'm Wide Guarding, and then can't do anything. And like oftentimes, like if they have the Iron Hands is like electric move double fighting, and then Pex walls you, like Pex Rhydon walls you, and then Comfy Rhydon also walls you.
Wait, you played a
and then
Pex
also
mirror?
Yeah, I see
I
that. I was
play
looking at
Pex
that
Mirror.
too.
Yeah.
No way you played another Pex.
Yeah, I did. But yeah, so like the idea was basically with those three Pokemon that you can wall out Miraidon plus most of its common partners like Iron Hands, like Calyrex Ice, like with a combination of Rhydon plus Toxapex and a Comfy, and then your fourth mon in that matchup is one of your two restricteds. If you need Koraidon for the Sun, especially against Urshifu,
If you
then
need
it would
them.
be Koraidon. And if you don't need the sun, it would most likely be Ho-Oh, because Ho-Oh can help you punish the Doubts and Gleams a little better. It can help you. It can live a Draco from Miraidon as well, so it
Easily,
helps you
yep.
pivot a little bit easier. And so because of that, that was like how I arrived at these Pokemon. And I'll say, like, I was very happy with how the team performed overall. And honestly, like, like the fact that I was 6-2 after day one was like completely my fault because I had not slept well the day before, and so I was not playing on my best game, and like I dropped one game to like a great matchup, and then one of the games I just wasn't playing well. So like I could have easily entered day two like at 7-1 or 8-0, like of course depending on the matchups I got, but and like I just felt that I wasn't like, because I had rolled like pretty easy matchups throughout the day. Like the fact that I ended day one at 6-2 was kind of disappointing, and like that was probably like, I mean, depending on what matchups I ended up would have ended up rolling in day two and top cut, like that could have still been like a top 32 exit for me. But I definitely could have, for me, like thinking about how my tournament went, like if I were to have done better in day one, then I definitely could have made a deeper run, because then I could have potentially hit a bye and then dodged the matchup. But eventually I probably would have had to hit this team, this winning team eventually anyway. And so going to the team's weaknesses, the team has great matchups into like Pagos, which I ended up playing twice in day two, which was very lucky. It has great matchups into like standard BBSS, which I played once and I got the free win against. It has solid matchups into like CSR Zama, and it has like a little bit shakier matchups into like CSR Miraidon, but it had and also one of the teams I was worried about was Koala, and also just Ursaluna in general coming into this tournament, because when I had first made the team, I knew that Ursaluna was a weakness, and I kind of wrote it off a little bit because Ursaluna has always been on the fringes for mostly on hard trick room in the past. So I wasn't like, I knew it was a weakness because I already locked in on this 6 like 2-3 weeks beforehand, and by the time that the Koala team was coming up and the Tang team ended up coming up, we like I didn't have any choice but to pivot, but or to pivot too. So I just was like, all right, whatever, we'll have to deal with it. We'll just go into the tournament and deal with the Ursaluna and hope I dodge it, basically. And I ended up losing it to it in top cut. I did beat it in round one of day two, but honestly, it was like I probably wasn't supposed to win that. My opponent like dropped their Miraidon when they just weren't supposed to do that. So I was a little bit fortunate in that sense. And so I ended up losing that matchup, but I think I could have gone farther if I had just played better in day one. That's always like what I want to tell myself, like to say like you can always play better. I don't want to blame it all on matchup luck or whatever, because that's not like the right mentality to getting better, I guess.
Yeah.
You're supposed to say that nothing's in your control and just kind of keep it moving.
Right.
How good was
And then
did Comfy catch anybody off guard with its mechanics? I
yeah,
know that like it's been
almost
around. Go ahead.
right. Almost everyone I played when I brought the Comfy, almost every time someone tried to fake out it, and
No.
including Carson, who I lost to. He gave me an out to like. It didn't end up mattering because like he faked out and electro drifted in the same turn, and then the Comfy just died. But if it had lived the electro drift, like it might have actually mattered to click that he clicked fake out on that turn. But I don't think it
Sure.
was even a roll. But yeah, like Comfy, like one of the things that's like cool about this team, I guess, like was that it doesn't contribute to the strength at all necessarily, but there are some hidden mechanics that people aren't aware of. But and also like more than that, there's like hidden lines that people aren't necessarily expecting because of some of the Pokemon that you're using. So of course, Rhydon is the obvious one. Like people aren't used to playing against it, and they can make misplays around it. I had someone click Volt Switch on accident into Rhydon without like not
no.
realizing that it redirects it, and or like maybe they brain farted or whatever it was. But I had that happen during the tournament. Of course, the fake out on Comfy, which was mentioned. I think Comfy in general is a really tricky Pokemon to play around if you're not familiar with it. Even if you are like somewhat familiar with it, if you're not like playing against someone like super practiced against someone who uses it a lot, or if you've used it a lot yourself, like Draining Kiss stuff, like Synthesis stuff, Floral Healing, like it can really change the way that the game is played, because Comfy having +3 prio on all 3 of those moves makes it so that if you can't hit it, then, or if you can't do more than 50% to hit it or its partner, then it can
Not
just
killing
go
them.
infinite.
Yeah.
And you can't fake it out, so you can't deny it that way. Draining Kiss actually, like, against, if it is super effective or you have low bulk on certain Pokemon, so like, notably this is like, versus like Urshifus and Chanpaos, like, you can set up endgames where like Comfy just like kills everything, and versus like Miraidon if you've teared another Mon. So like Comfy can just like start picking off all the Pokemon with Draining Kiss, and it could go through redirection. Which I don't think it came up during the tournament, but during practice, I know a lot of people like messed up versus that. They tried to click follow me in front of it or whatever.
Love it.
So yeah, like I think that part of the team is cool, but like of course I don't. That wasn't like part of the inherent strength of the team. It was just that there are cases where people will mess up versus it, for sure.
Yeah,
So freaking fire, man. Did you kill any Koraidon with it?
I
It
don't believe I
is
did
okay.
during the tournament. I don't think it does 60% with Draining Kiss.
I mean, that's a lot. I'm sure
yeah.
that's 0 special attack investment. Like,
It's like, yeah, it's like basically 0 special attack, and it
Yeah.
does 60%. So
I was trying to think about the fake out mons, and I was like, are they all slower than Comfy? Because I was like, oh, Rillaboom
Yeah.
and Cineroar and Iron Hands are all slower. Is there anything else that I'm missing? There's no Scrafty people running now, right?
No.
Like,
The some
Comfy's
people do
just-
run Turbo
they're-
Rillaboom, but that technically could get it. But
yeah.
You also
Yeah,
technically
yeah,
outspeed
good
it,
job.
but no, there's a so Smeargle is one. I imagine you outspeed Smeargle, but I'm not sure.
No,
no, it
mine
takes quite a bit of
doesn't.
investment to do that.
Yeah. If they're the max speed Smeargle, then they do outspeed me.
Okay. That's one. And then I do know that Rajan lost to a Sneasler, so I guess that's Sneasler with Miraidon as a team, I guess.
There could also be cases where like
Manchow.
Trick Room is up and then they can fake you out with Iron Hands or Instant or whatever.
yeah.
True.
So you're not like completely immune, but like there are more often than not people fake out not because they know the mechanic, but because they think they can fake you out. And yeah.
Yeah.
Comfy, a lot of people also just don't know Comfy's base stat. It has base 100 speed, so
It was fast. Yeah, that's one of my favorite.
yeah. Carson knew the mechanic, but he didn't know how fast Comfy was. Well, he wasn't sure about the mechanic, but he also wasn't sure about how fast he was, and he thought that Comfy was base 60 stat, but it's like no, it's base 100, so it is pretty fast.
So before we move on to talking about some other things that happen in Milwaukee, I just want to cover the top 2 teams because we probably won't be able to go too in depth on the rest of them, and we'll probably just revisit that sometime in the future. But we've bounced around talking about it a lot because a lot of people ran it, and it ultimately ended up winning the tournament. But we should do a quick dive into Andrew Ding's team that was built by Shiliang Tang and their group. I believe they'll be doing a team report on it soon. For all of them, it's funny because like I don't know how deep the group goes. A lot of people did end up stealing it off ladder. It was getting spread around. But yeah, I think the main thing to take away from this team and other teams this weekend is how strong Luna is what I like to call it.
Yep.
Just Lunala and Ursaluna.
Very strong.
The thing is, it's very difficult to remove Lunala, of course, with its Shadow Shield. That makes sense. And Gutsbear, it's got Facade that is hitting everything for like 1 billion. And how do you deal with like a strong normal type nuke? You switch in a Ghost type, which gets hit by Moongeist Beam, or you switch in a Steel or a Rock type, and those both get hit by Headlong Rush. So simply just being expecting to be able to like defensively work around these 2 Pokemon is just too big of an ask. And so I think going forward we're going to need better answers to specifically those guys. I also think it's really cool that pairing that with you've got Electric Seed and Intimidate and Wisp to cover all the physical attackers. You've got AV Snarl to cover a lot of the special attackers. Like the team is just so defensively capable in a really cool way.
Yeah, and I think like it's very interesting because my team is also supposed to be like similar in the sense that it's defensively um slanted, but like what I'm trying to do is disable their buttons, but this team is just trying to do it with like adding all the forms of damage mitigation, right? You have the
Yeah.
snarl, you have the wisp, you have the intimidate, you have the screens, spirit break, and then you're using that to enable the strong attackers. So you have Miraidon and you have Ursaluna, and the part that's like very difficult to deal with on this team is that it's hard to disrupt their options because Lunala you can't fake out. Ursaluna has access to Terra Ghost, and then like trying to play defensively into Ursaluna just doesn't really work. When they ever get Trick Room up with, if they ever get Trick Room up with 4 turns, like they're going to make progress in the game no matter
Yeah.
what. And then they have Urshifu if you ever have like for some reason have some options into that. But it's just hard to disable them from doing what they really want to do, which is why I think that team was so strong this event. And even though it was like on people's radar coming into the event, I think it was like kind of a little bit too late for people to make serious changes to their team to be able to compensate for it. And it ended up being the call for the tournament. And even in the days after, I've been working on trying to figure out ways to C team this and to like have a good matchup into this because my team does not have a good matchup into this. And I know that, and that means that going into the future, I want to see what can actually beat it. And even having seen the team and knowing the EVs and all of that, it's still hard to stop it from doing what it wants to do, which is like it's a hallmark of a great team. But that does mean that we'll have to figure out answers going into the next 3 tournaments.
True.
Also, I'll note you put a Pokepace that actually had EVs. It was not max defenses in a row. It was max Spadef. It lived my Electro Drift from Specs Timid Miraidon, which it could only do in max Spadef.
I think the one
Oh,
the version you played against, Joey, was not from the original like group.
Yep.
They had Luca Paz. I don't know if they had ripped it from ladder or like what the specific process was, but he wasn't involved within the original.
Makes sense, yeah. 'Cause I did
the
like
original group,
92%, and I'm like, okay.
That is
right,
kind of
because
funny.
Carson lived my collision course from my Koraidon, and you have to be max defense to have the role to be able to do that. So, yeah, the original team has max defense.
Fair.
I didn't even realize that max HP, max Spadeffinson was still a roll to die to Drift. Drift is just so strong. Oh man. All right, then let's quickly run over the second place team. Unless Adi, you had a quick thing to say.
No, I just kind of wanted to say one thing, which is that I was considering, the conclusion that I came to before the tournament that was that my team is just a worse version of this, is doing a lot of the same things. But what I didn't realize until at the tournament basically is that Lunala is just better for Rigraff, right? And for Rigraff is kind of needed to enable Ursaluna. But Lunala just can't get blown up in the same way that Farigiraf can, and that's so important when you're talking about enabling what so far has been the best Pokemon in the format, which is not Miraidon, it's actually Ursaluna. And yeah, that's just the part that was really cool to me, is that this team is so consistent at enabling the Ursaluna to do what it does. And people are just going to have to respect Ursaluna more going forward. I think that's really the response, because this Miraidon doesn't hit very hard, the Lunala doesn't hit very hard. The Urshifu, I think, rarely shows up to matchups. It's just that Ursaluna is so good at do so much of the metagame, and that's going to have to change moving forward.
Yep.
Right.
I'm looking at this team, and I think the Mon that would look really good into it is an opposing Banded Shifu. Looks really strong into it. I'm talking about water more than the other. Like Terra Water, you click, but then even then, like you still get like there's still Miraidon over there as well. So there's
the Miraidon becomes both defensive switcher and offensively is good into it. Like Urshifu is hard to like position well into Miraidon, and of course Lunala also still hits it for a lot of damage. And Lunala doesn't love taking surging strikes, but it can take it relatively.
Yeah, oh no, this one was.
So.
I knew that Mon was super defensive when it was taking some hits from me when I played it. I was like, yeah, this is more than just the seed.
Hi, Valentine VGC in the chat. If you have any questions about the regional winning team, feel free to ask them now, just while we're talking about it. No, congratulations, of course.
Actually, and so now that he's here, we should actually change the topic, right? We should talk about something else.
Right. Well, I mean, it is kind of time.
I do have one final thought about this team is like you bring up Urshifu, but I do think like this is perception at least going around was that this is the time that Urshifu is the weakest. It might
Yeah.
be going forward in this regulation that we will still continue to think Urshifu is kind of like in a weak spot right now, but it's not good into Miraidon, it's not good into Shadow Rider, barring like you need to have a lot of extra support for it to be good into Shadow Rider. It's mediocre into Zamazenta. It's really bad into Koraidon because whenever Sun is set up, Urshifu stops being a Pokemon. And because of that, like it allowed for Grimmsnarl to be more of a prevalent threat, for screens to be really powerful. It allows for Ursaluna to come creeping back in, which is very weak to Urshifu because it needs to set up that Flame Orb to be more active. So these are some of like the trends that have been taken advantage of. Like, of course, we say that, but Urshifu won the regional. I do think that it shouldn't be overstated in the sense that Urshifu on this team was like clearly mod 6. It was not the strongest member of this team
Yeah.
and didn't contribute to all of the matchups. So like even though it did win the regional technically, I don't consider it necessarily to be like that core part, like a core part of the core of this team. So yeah.
Got it.
I think that's very fair. Especially like that one doesn't come. That's how I felt like Bundle was during most of my week, and then in day 2 it just went crazy.
So, Andrew, if you are still here in the chat, of course, tell us how to beat the team and what are all the flaws, because everyone's looking for the answer.
True.
But yeah, let's quick talk about the runner-up team here then, Dylan's team, which it does have things that, we kind of like talked about when we were looking at mine, some minor things that set it apart, of course. And so I think the main thing to talk about here, besides, a lot of the pieces that you'll probably see consistently on Ice Rider teams this format, is the Scarf Miraidon. And maybe that will be seen consistently on Ice Rider teams. We kind of already broke it down earlier talking about the Scarf Miraidon, but it just, I guess I'll just say at this point that it was not something I would expect to have a good shot at winning the first tournament. And to get so close to it is just like a really cool, like, shake up on what we expected this format to be like, basically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think Callie did super well too. Like I like when he beat Luca with the team, it was like perfect into that quad, right? Just the Bear Terra Fire, Claire Amulet, all that, and actually just being able to do the damage to Ursa while tanking all the hits. I really like that a lot about like Calyrex specifically. That mon is Ursaluna that can hit both mons.
It's true. Well, Ursaluna's got Earthquake, I guess, but it's a little bit higher cost.
That move is whatever. That move only worked on me because I didn't read it.
We like to call Glacial Lance a $90 move, so because you got to pay for that DLC. But
I do think Kelly Ice, people were sleeping on it a lot coming into this. Well, I was number 1 hater of Kelly Ice, and it did show up at this regional. I think it does have a baseline decent matchup into the Tang team. Of course, there's things that you have to get around, but it at least helps you enable some of the things. Like, so it could be more popular going into the future for sure.
Something funny about this team was that it was min speed Ice Rider, I'm pretty sure. And so pairing that with Miraidon is like truly putting them like the ultimate Bolt Beam speed sandwich, like the highest electric speed and the lowest ice type speed. Like they literally got both spectrums covered, I guess. But yeah, I think other than that, we'll probably come back to revisiting, analyzing some of the teams. I wanted to cover 2 little tidbits about the tournament, of course. One was the actually, we'll cover this one first because it's quicker. But Adi pointed this person out to me, and I thought it was hilarious. The person who finished literally 256th, I think they deserved like a refund for their tournament. Like their schedule, they went 4-4, and I honestly salute them for going 4-4 into this schedule because they had the highest resistance of a 4-4, the only 4-4 record to get top 256 championship points. And look at who they played against. They played against Wolf. They played against Bezad. They played against Billy. Nails was the worst player they played against at 5-3 in the round 8. They played against Je. And yeah, like a couple 5-3s and otherwise 6-2s and 7-1s. Like it's just you're not supposed to have a schedule like that at 4-4.
What a rough
That's nuts.
schedule.
It is so funny.
Yeah. Imagine, I can't imagine playing 3 regional champions being like, I'm X3, going to the last round, just want to get some points, and you queue up. Who do you face? But 2-time regional champion Nick Navarre. Oh my god, that's crazy.
I wanna give an anti shout out to the flights this weekend. A lot of players couldn't make it out because of just flight things. Like Nick Hopeless was supposed to be at this tour and couldn't make it because the flights wouldn't go out. I got home at 9 a.m. 24 hours after I left because of the flights and everything as well. So it was really like everything was really rough this week, and I don't know the weather or what it was, but I feel bad for all the players that didn't get to pull up and everything. So big shout out to
Right.
them. Hopefully they are able to do it to Portland and whatever you guys have next. And
Just
show up.
NAIC over here in the US at the very least. Adi, go ahead.
No, I was saying our boy Justin Burns couldn't make it. His flight got canceled. I know my flight got delayed 3 hours. I was on the same flight as Wolf coming out from DC, and so I got to my hotel room at 2 a.m. before the tournament. I really thought that I wasn't going to make it at some point that night. And thankfully my flight did arrive. But yeah, it was absolutely brutal. I think Joe Garte also said his flight got delayed a couple hours. Like all over the East Coast, everything was getting delayed, and it was pretty brutal.
Somebody mentioned in the chat, so I guess we'll talk about it really quick here. But yeah, also the Lorenzo thing happened over the weekend, and honestly, it's funny because I talked to Lorenzo directly, and I wish I remembered better what we had talked about, because it was just like I was still in the middle of the tournament, and it was just like it went by so fast. But I will say that it's a really, really ridiculous situation. And at the same time, the staff, they would not have pulled the trigger on this if they didn't have like more than just like the smallest shred of evidence. Like they're not gonna just like they know that it's a bad look for them to be doing something like this. So it's such a weird situation. I still, though, after talking with Lorenzo, believe that he probably just was looking at the crowd a little too much, which is ridiculous. Regardless, another thing about this subject that is just so wild to me is the fact that they reversed the games. We've never seen anything like that ever. Like Xiaoyang and Cedric, I know these two players, they're both strong players, but they both went 5-3. They lost to Lorenzo in rounds 4 and 6, respectively, I believe, or round 4 and 5. And so they would not have made day 2, but they got gifted back a win. And like, I don't know, it's a weird thing to do when, I don't know, it's just like I don't know, it's just so strange.
No, they weren't supposed to give them back the win, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was told that they did it because if they DQ'd him that right from X3 from 5 wins, then he would have gotten points still. So here's the thing. I kind of agree with Alex in that this is not a decision that I think the staff would make lightly. I don't know what evidence they had. I have to imagine they have some pretty strong evidence. But all that being said, even if you take them at like face value, that I cannot figure out like how you would actually cheat in this manner. That's the part that befuddles me, because Lorenzo was the player side of the stream. You could see what his moves. It's one thing if he was the other side and someone in the crowd was telling him his opponent's moves, right? That would be like an understandable way to cheat, and something that I could definitely see someone getting DQ'd for. But I don't know what he could possibly gain from looking at the crowd when, like, he is currently top 10 in North America in championship points. Like, he is one of the best players in the country. I don't know. There's no one he could be looking at that is better than him.
That isn't playing in the tournament at the very least, right?
Yeah. So like, what is? I don't know. I just don't understand what advantage could be gained. And that's like really why, like, even though I have to imagine the staff is taking this seriously, the staff, like, it took them 3 rounds to do this, right? It wasn't like a spur of the moment thing. I'm sure they did some investigation or whatever.
No, it's going through like I probably have to go through a bunch of different judges and figure it out. And I know it wouldn't be called for no reason, but still really weird,
Right.
man. Like, and
Right.
I can't help but feel bad. Like, dude spent money to get here, and this is what ends up happening. Like, I don't.
Right.
Right.
No, you don't want to see anything
And
like this happen. Of course. Go ahead, Adi.
no, it's. I think we've kind of hit on it, and I don't think we're ever going to really hear more about it. But yeah, I think that's kind of all I have to say about the topic. It's been discussed on social media a lot. And Joey, I know you got to go to another
Yeah.
podcast real quick,
Yeah,
but
this is
I got one.
Go ahead. I'm down.
I was
What's the
going to ask you, what's your are you going to any more VGC events? You're going to be playing some more VGC anytime soon?
Not this season, but I'll do when my 10-year Drop of Draco merch launches next month.
Ooh.
I'll do like some goals with it to bring myself, Swave, and Blunder as well for his face reveal and everything to an event or something, and that'll help fund the event, obviously, and our tickets and our flights, etc. So you won't see me in anything for at least this season, but possibly next season. It was very fun. It was a good time, and honestly, the community was so kind. Like, it was crazy. I got on Twitter, like, I didn't see everything in between. I would just type my what I'm doing, then get off. Like,
Yep.
all right, gotta go play the next game. Gotta go play the next game. But I get on later, I have like a billion tweets, a billion like memes. That was the best part, the memes, and all this stuff. It's like, go Joey, go. Like, oh man, this is so cool. So I'll definitely be back. And meeting all the viewers was so fire as well. Like, everybody's just so kind. It was just a good
Mhm.
time. It was really, really a good time. And shout out to all my opponents as well. Shout out to everybody that came up to me. All my opponents were so nice, by the way. I talk the whole match. Like, I'll make jokes. I'll talk about stuff. And I guess it's different for me because I'm not like, yo, I got to make worlds. I got to win this. I'm just there for have a good time, play some mons, do what I do every day, you know? So
Right.
to see them like look all nervous or locked in, and I'm just like, oh, am I bad for having a good time? But nobody got mad at me, so I apologized a lot. But thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I will head over to
Yeah.
the other podcast, my third of the day for VGC.
Yes.
And
All right, everybody make
subscribe,
sure to
guys.
go sub
Not
so
to
that
me,
he
but
can
to them.
come to another
You
event.
can sub to me if you want to, but take care.
Yeah. All right, you have a good
Thank
one.
you, guys.
Catch you around.
Have a
Hopefully
good
see each
one.
other at
See you at
the
the
next
next
event I
event.
go to as well. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peace,
yeah.
guys.
Hope so too.
Good luck.
Later.
Yep.
Who was that?
I wait.
No
I
idea.
thought you knew him.
I thought you knew him. How did he get in here? Anyways, go ahead, Adi.
So I was gonna say, do we want to wrap it up here? Or do we have time for one more topic?
We could probably do one more topic. I think we probably save the like team depth. Like we can maybe do another stream on the teams, maybe something like that. But go ahead. What did you want to talk about?
I want to ask you. There's one more storyline that we didn't get to talk about, and it's not a team that did well. It's a team that didn't do well. That we talked about already. It's CSR's Amazenta.
Right.
And I feel like we have to bring it up. It's a storyline that I haven't heard very much. It was the team everyone is expecting to beat at this tournament. What do you guys think happened to it? And do you guys think it's going to be around?
It's funny. We actually, just said goodbye to Joey. I'm looking at the best finishing Shadow Riders Amazenta, and it was Keanu. If Joey had lost to Keanu in the winning, then it might have had a chance to, maybe defend its title a little bit better. I actually talked about this on stream in my post-match interview. I was talking to Gabby, and I was like, it seems like Shadow Rider Zama's really struggling. While Ice Rider is kind of like doing the better horse right now. And then she was like, can you explain that? And I was like, I feel like in NA, players like to be original just for the sake of being original. I feel like people like to just avoid using what's like proven or strong, whereas in Europe, they love that boring shit. They love to use the standard teams. And I mean, it's a bit of that, and it's also a bit of like, it was definitely heavily targeted, so maybe people need to cook up a little bit more creative builds. But like, yeah, this is looking to play out exactly like the start of Reg G, where Miraidon, not unexpectedly, but Miraidon wins the first tournament, and we're going to see Shadow Rider come in strong for the next one. Of course, that was LA and NA, but I'm thinking like Utrecht, it's going to definitely be Shadow Rider's tournament. Mont, I got good news for you.
Wait, so
Yeah.
Okay, I have two takes on this. One is that like I agree in the sense that NA players, a lot of people wanted to be the team that countered CSR Zama instead of playing it themselves. It mostly didn't have a lot of like there were some strong players on it, but relative to the population, like um, a lot of the other archetypes had like stronger building groups that were more interested in innovating and trying to beat it. And a lot of the people that ended up deciding to bring CSR Zama had brought builds that had already done well on online tournaments. People had already gotten practice into it. We talked a lot about, or like we talked a little bit about, people using Scarf Miraidon or Assault Vest Miraidon, Grim Snarl. These Pokemon all pose a lot of trouble for CSR Zamazenta, and it makes it so that just using the most basic common build was not going to be enough to do well, especially because you're on the back foot, right? They're always going to have more practice into you than you do into them if you're like the targeted archetype. And so I think at the first tournament of the format, that did kind of spell the like like mean that CSR Zama was going to have an underperformance, and it does, very much have shades of the Indianapolis situation where we all said, CSR is done, it's dusted or whatever. Like it had multiple underperformances at multiple tournaments, but in my opinion, I feel like right now I'm not even going to write it off until the EU regional because I think that there's going to be a lot of strong EU players on it, and we'll see how it does. And then the other thing is that another meta development that does actually legitimately have CSR Zama has significant issues with is Lunala, because the pairing has a lot of trouble removing Lunala, and because of that, like Lunala can just be a huge thorn in your side, and you can't really stop it from doing what it wants to, and because of that, like that is something that they will have to innovate and change on to be able to like solve in the future, and so we'll see where it goes, I guess, but it's not like I don't think it's so insurmountable, but it is something that people have to consider. Which maybe wasn't the like most obvious thing coming into this format.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about it, Adi?
I also think I agree with the take that not enough good players ran it. That I mean, on some level, it's shots on goal, and I'm looking at the list of players you got pulled up right now. I see Keanu, I see Kyle, I see Gary Chan, and I see Mont as like the four really big names on it. And with all due respect to I think all those guys, that's the different than when you see Paul Chua and Alex Underhill and William Brown running the same team, right? That's or when you see Shiliang and Justin Tang and Andrew Ding running the same team. Like it's the number of the number of good players, the number of really elite players running Miraidon Lunala was probably higher than the number of elite players running CSR Zama, and that's part of it. And then I think that's really the big thing. And then the other, like, I think that when we go to, because on ladder it was everywhere before the tournament, and it was like high on ladder. It was like really really good elos, really good GXEs on ladder. I got to imagine those are all European players because none of them showed up here.
Yeah,
which means that I think it's just gonna pop off at Utrecht, and we're gonna be like, oh yeah, that's right. And so I really think that it's not going anywhere. It's still a really strong team, and it was kind of held back by the lack of players using it, and the lack of shots on goal. And so I think that it's going to pop off at Utrecht regionals.
The one thing that gives me hesitation, I guess, for this is like the stats on it really don't like CSR Zama. Like we got some matchup data stats on someone broke down all the matchups at Milwaukee and gave us a table basically. And CSR Zama like really was not good on the stats. Like it really struggled in a lot of the matchups that like the top matchups that like against the teams that did well. And we'll see if the Europeans can solve it or if it's just like a player issue. But that was something that, like, the advanced stats really suggest that it was an underperformance, not only by like not placing well at the top end, but also just like in general, like the data suggests that it wasn't good. On the other hand, the other archetype that didn't show up very much this weekend, but maybe should have, Tarapa Ghost, had great stats actually. The stats on it suggest that it's really, really good still, and it just did not like have top placings because almost nobody brought it to the event. It had an overall like 60% adjusted win rate, something like that. It was the #1 team in terms of win rate, and I expect that team to also do extremely well at the European Regional, where they love the boring stuff. So that was something else that I wanted to mention.
Dude,
They
the
were 2 in
second
top
worst
cut.
was yours though. I'm looking at the,
Yeah,
at the adjusted win rates, dude. Yours is the second lowest. What the heck?
I know, man.
How'd my guys do? Oh man, for the amount that we were used, I feel like pretty good.
Pretty good. Like, it's very good actually, because of course the weighted average is always going to be like having a better weighted average. Is going to be harder when you have like a lot more players on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that I mean, I would love to dive into these stats. I think we're running up on time. We've already lost Joey. This is all Jody and Marco's fault. But yeah.
No, honestly,
so I think,
it's just too much of a week, dude. Like, there's just so
It
much
is.
to talk about.
This is,
But yeah,
there is. I mean, it's the first regional of the format, right? So I would love to go into depth about all these teams because so many people came up with so many cool ideas. I mean, I could literally just start shouting them out, and we wouldn't have time to pull them all up. But Darsh's team was so cool. Riley's team was really interesting. Zach's team was really cool. Joe's team was really interesting. We could just keep going. But yeah, it was just a really fun tournament, and there's a lot of cool things to come out of it. Also, some boring things to come out of it, but we don't have to talk about those.
Hey,
And
Ho-Oh is real. I know there was a lot of doubters going into this event about, there were always rumblings about Ho-Oh, and I think this was like, there were, I mean, a number of us in the call, but we showed that Ho-Oh was a real Pokemon in the metagame. It wasn't just an online, as it wasn't just a ladder experience. It wasn't just a whatever this and that, but
we really did just have the best 3 hoes in the call, huh? I'm just surrounded by bird
yeah.
users. Like, what the heck?
yeah.
Let's go Ho-Oh. Have fun cut though.
So, but before we head out, I do want to, anyone who is watching on Twitch and isn't subscribed on YouTube, maybe you missed the part of this podcast. !YT in chat. This will be on YouTube tomorrow morning, so you can watch the entire thing. Of course, my team report is on YouTube. Michael's team report will be on YouTube at some point on my channel, coming up soon. So if you aren't subscribed and you're watching on YouTube because you saw Pokeaim in the thumbnail, what are you doing? Subscribe. Come over on Twitch if you're watching on YouTube and hang out with us while we do these live and ask questions, because normally we get a lot of times we get the regional champion. This time we decided Joey was more important than Andrew. Sorry, Andrew. Maybe next week.
Right.
But yeah, so it's always a good time. That's my little shilling. And yeah, do we want to wrap it up, or what are we thinking?
Yeah, I think that sounds good. If we want, we can always come back maybe later this week to cover some of the stuff we missed. And at the very least, I'll be streaming tomorrow, so come by and see that. If I'm not playing games with Adi's team on the best of one ladder, I might be analyzing the meta, so we'll see. Anyways, yeah, thanks again to Joey for being on, and ESM, thank you as well for coming back on back to back. It was very exciting, and people needed to hear about your team. It's just so cool.
Dude, I didn't get streamed. I guess we didn't talk about that, but
yeah. Like,
we didn't. No Wolf, and I didn't make it on stream either. Of course, obviously.
Where's Wolfie? Where's Comfy? Like, come on.
That's the same level of excitement. So.
Right. Well, I think that people would have been like seriously hyped to see your team on stream. Like, they messed up. They messed up big time. But yeah, I guess real quick, is anybody streaming? Who should we throw it over to? I'll go take a quick look. Looks like Topo is going, so yeah, let's throw it over there. Start that, and
using the classic, the Palkia. We gotta support the Palkia Ice Rider Bros. That's our core.
I guess it looks so different these
Yeah.
days. Oh man. All right, y'all. We'll see you next time. Thanks for hanging out, and have a good night.
Good night.